Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackblade, and today we are looking at queue systems for trains. I've been experimenting a little bit back and forth with this. I've been looking at a few mods and everything, but including the mods that I've found, there might be some that I don't know about. This is, without the mechanics for trains changing, the best way for you to be able to build a queue system for your trains that isn't just a long line that will back up your rail systems. And this... let's just get into it. So here's my little test bay, and like on the face of it, like you look at this and go like, yeah, well, duh, super obvious. Here's the thing though, instinctually, if you're a new player, if you haven't played this before, what you think is if you have a train station, you also need as many freight platforms as you have cars. That's not the case. You only need the station to create a point that you can change in the timetable. This is an incredibly simplistic setup where each train has two stops. It has the station and then its queue station. So they have a designated queue slot, and because of how the trains like path signals systems work, they will go, so if I make this one go first, this one will go second, this one will go third, fourth, and then fifth. So they will alternate perfectly. I've been running the test now for like 40 minutes, and I know that that's the case. So what you can easily do is have, this is a pretty standard setup, like a miniature version of a railway system, where you have the train station. This is an input station called Theory in 1, where the train would deliver its goods, or the trains, and if a train is not supposed to stop at this station, it would just use this bypass rail, because that would be the fastest way to the next station. And instead you have this little like bump going off. This is the queue system, where you just have as many queue stations as you have trains that are supposed to go to this station. And so let's say that you are delivering plastic here, and it's supposed to be X amount of thousands per minute. One of the struggles with flow through is that, like, there's multiple different problems, but number one is that when you park a train to offload, what happens is these shut down. They no longer send items out, so you need a buffer. But you also need a buffer in the other direction, as in you need to have trains coming in fast enough that you are always keeping the systems full. But you can't go overboard. I have gone overboard here. This exact setup would not work, because there are so many trains coming in all the time that this wouldn't have time to actually empty its containers. So this would just sit still for most of the time and create problems because of that. Like, I think that this small of a station, if there is a long travel time, maybe having two trains with, like, so you have two queues would work, or like two places in the queue. But essentially, if you needed 10 trains, you would just make 10 trains. Or if you have like 2 trains, but they're really long, you just extend this out for as long as you need. The big thing, the reason why I'm looking at making these in the first place, is the flow through of the trains on the line in general. Because when you start really getting into the train stuff and start really expanding, especially in the later part of the game, you tend to have hundreds of trains doing their thing. And what you want to do is make sure that when you have your main, like, this is your resource highway, this is where your trains are supposed to flow, they can't really do that if all they have to do is like stop here and wait for their turn to go into the station, right? So what we do is create this little bit of a system to keep our main thoroughfare, our highway for the railway, for the trains. We want to keep this as free from standstills. We always want everything to move here at max speed for as long as possible without slowing down. That means we want as few path signals, and we want as few trains like slowing down on it as possible. And this is one really good way that I have figured out this. And I'm gonna be very clear. This is with what we have in the game right now. We don't have any like waypoint signals. It would be awesome if we had something like that. So instead of having to place out a whole station and set that up, we can just place down like a sign, and then just like make a train tell a train like, hey, you have to pass by the sign on your way to X station. Like, that would be so nice. And I know that's one of the most requested features by people, but who knows? I don't know if we'll see that. It might be getting too close to having logic in the game, which they don't want to have. Or at least not yet. It might be a DLC thing. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But this is how you can make a queue system. Very, very simple. And yeah, like I said, this is actually a non-functioning system. It has too many trains coming in too fast. I would need to have like 2-3 stations instead to make sure that there is a faster like flow through of these 5 trains. Or have like half the amount of trains but twice as long. Whatever it is, I can do a lot of stuff to help this, and a lot of the time this might be a redundant system, but also if you're moving something like copper ingots, it's not weird in the end game if you're like, okay, I need to move 30,000 copper ingots per minute to different places in the world. So you can have this as like okay, here's my copper trains, they go to where they need to go. Because here's the thing, if you have one 30-car train that moves all the copper around the world, that means that train has to circumnavigate the world to get to all of the stations where it needs to drop stuff off. Instead, if you have 5-6-car trains, it's the same amount of cars, but you can also tell them to go, like, you go straight here, and then you come straight back. And that's gonna cut down the round trip time overall for all the copper by a lot. And in which case, a queue system like this might be very, very helpful. So it comes down to a very situational thing, and I know that a lot of people have been asking for something like this. I have been curious about how I would make something like this work since I made the video on how to build a large rail network, because I tried to make one with just using block signals and path signals. It did not work. And the comment section was howling at me that you can't do that, it's always going to pick the shortest route to whatever station it is designated to go to. So I was like, okay, but what if I designate it to go to the queue line that I want it to go to? Because I have just set these up very, very simply. If I edit the timetable and you look at this, I've just told it, you load or unload one or wait for 1 second. But since there's nothing to either pick up or drop off, it's just gonna wait here for 1 second. But also, because it is blocked by the train in here, it's going to wait. So it's going to sit here until it is its turn. And that's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's gonna start over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over and over and over again. So it's going to be a round robin kind of situation with the dropping stuff off. So I would not do this kind of system with sensitive materials that say you need to drop off a bunch of water, like you have a big water train that drops off to a bunch of different places. Don't set something like this up. It's going to fail. Instead, for that, you have like a dedicated water train per factory that drops off exactly what you need, and you make sure that that flow through is like perfect. Having like, if you need this train, say there's water in this train and that train also needs to drop up over there, but it's stuck here for another, like it would be stuck here for, what is that? A minute and a half, 2 minutes minimum. It would be stuck here before it can drop off. You need to either take that into account with how much water you store at that secondary location, or you need to make sure that this train has a buddy that doesn't stop here, but that does stop over there. So it's still like a lot of stuff that you need to think about to make it work, but it does work. And if you're building large train networks and you need queue systems to make sure that your thoroughfare, your highway, like all of this is clear, then this is definitely the system for you, even though you get a little bit of a waiting time because the trains have to go in here and stop. Then it's better to just like add an extra train so that you know you always have a train going somewhere where you need it to go or whatever. But yeah, this is the classroom world, so it is available on the Google Drive, along with a mod list that I'm using for when I'm building here for my creative world. And you can come in here and you can experiment with this stuff yourself and figure out what configurations you want. One of the things that is included in that is a mod that actually puts down resource nodes, so you can experiment with this stuff, with trains, with drones, with belts and production setups and whatever, just using these nodes here in this creative world. So definitely something that I recommend doing. If you don't have a creative world, you can just grab the classroom template from the Google Drive. You can get there through the Discord and grab the mod list, and you will have a very nice time setting up your own experiments with this. And if you have experience with this, I would love to hear what are your experiences. Put that down in the comments. If you have learned something from this, if you enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Share it with your buddies if you feel like, okay, this was a brilliant thing, let's just share it with them so they know what we should do the next time we're starting up our world and we're playing together. So I will see you guys in the next video, or since it's Friday for me today, I'm gonna live stream later. It's gonna be me and Empress, my partner. We're going to be live streaming Helldivers 2, and we are going to, or she's going to play that for the first time ever. So it's gonna be real fun. Well, now I am heading off. I need to edit this and get this out. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!